Hi there, it's me. Bread. I've been playing RPGs since I was just a little babingus in my basement, fermenting into the 5'11" loaf of bitch that I am today. Despite that though, I've only played a select handful of the genres. And if you'll believe it, most of the RPGs that I tend to enjoy come in the form of the JRPG. A hotly contested genre that doesn't really have a set definition anymore. I can't really say why I like JRPGs the most, but it's the closest I'll ever become to being a weeb, so... Today, since I'm kind of running out of time to make a video this month and I've been very distracted by Final Fantasy VII, I think I'll just sit and discuss some of my favorite RPGs for a bit. Now, this isn't a definitive ranked list of my favorites because I tend to fluctuate between what I consider my favorite frequently. I don't consider myself to be too stagnant in what I consider my absolute favorites to be. Maybe it's because I'm indecisive, maybe it's because I'm too erratic, maybe I just love too much. I'm sure a psychologist out there would love to diagnose me. So yeah, just to clarify, I'm not saying that all of these are fantastic, perfect, IGN 10 out of 10s. But they are ones that captured my own interest, and if you're anything like me, firstly, I'm sorry, and secondly, you may like these ones as well. So, enough dawdling, let's actually get into this. Y2K, a postmodern RPG, where to begin with that one? Well, firstly, it's a 2019 RPG, developed by YIIK Studios and published by YIIK Games. And truthfully, it's got a fair amount of problems, from a needlessly confusing plot to directly ripping a chunk of text from a well-known book, but that's besides the point. To a battle system that's slow and doesn't quite understand why people like the things that inspired it. Despite that, I found myself really enjoying the story it tries to tell, despite the fact that I'm not even sure if I fully understand the game myself. I don't want to spoil it, because I believe it's one of those stories that heavily relies on the player's interpretations of events to tell its story, but a very brief summary of the game is: Alex Eggleston goes on a countrywide search for the explanation as to why he witnessed a woman disappear into a mysterious dimension when he explores a seemingly abandoned building. Antics eventually ensue that involve meeting a childhood friend, a transdimensional girl who knows more than she leads on, 3 internet strangers, and a transdimensional robot that also knows more than she leads on. And eventually, Alex discovers the true meaning of his reality. Now, that's a broad summary of events. There's a bunch of big events that I skimmed over in favor of letting those experience it for themselves. The story is something that I feel will give each player their own experience, where your interpretations change the meaning of certain events. Alongside that, the characters are fascinating to watch interact, and their dynamics are really fun to analyze. The main guy, Alex Eggleston, is supposed to be a pretentious dick. The game makes that very abundantly clear, practically right from the start.
Alex, dear son of mine, please see if you can muster up the energy to walk into town and pick up some groceries. I've included a list below.
Not even home 5 minutes and she's already barking orders at me.
Alex has this nasty habit of going on very long diatribes that go absolutely fucking nowhere, both vocally to others and just within his own fucking head.
A few hundred yards outside of town, I came to a junction. Mulling over the strangeness of being back home, I stopped to notice a forest I'd never explored. It was dark, but somehow attractive. I made a mental note to explore it later. I took a step towards town when I heard a meow near my feet. I pictured what it would be like to be the owner. I imagined describing him to a friend. Lonely? Nah, I don't get too lonely. Besides my mom, there's only a cat. An old cat, but a good friend to talk to. My fictional friend would reply, "You talk things over, do you?" I'd nod. Uh-huh. Been together a long time, so we can read each other's moods. I understand. Of course, I didn't know this cat at all. We'd never met. He was a funny-looking cat, with a funny resting face and a Salvador Dali mustache. I couldn't imagine picking out this cat to bring home from a store. I leaned down to pet it, without entirely knowing if cats like to be pet at all. His coarse hair ran through my fingers as he purred. Clearly he liked me. That was a good sign. Alex Eagleston, college graduate, friend of small animals.
Hey! Give them back to me!
90% of the problems he and his team of misfits come across in the game are because Alex is so impulsive and erratic. A solid 3-hour chunk of the game is the team running around trying to find who made this mysterious record Alex finds, only to find out that it was made by Vela, and that Alex would have known that if he'd fucking looked at the cover.
Find out about this mystical LP.
I found the jacket. Here, I have it with me.
Ah, yes. The Mystical Ultima LP Legend by Vela Wild.
Did you say Vela Wild?
Yeah. But didn't you know this already? It's on the cover. Did you even read it?
Alex, you blind, useless motherfucker. The rest of the characters all have at least one or two moments to really shine, taking time out of the story to have a true one-to-one conversation with Alex about things going on in their life and about the adventures they've been on. And despite the fact that they all berate and belittle Alex when he deserves it.
So, is it worth swimming out there and checking it out?
Go right ahead!
What? Ugh, hey, you guys suck!
How's the water?
They all do genuinely care and appreciate him as a friend, even if sometimes it means Alex has to be a bit self-introspective within his own mind dungeon. Oh yeah, fuck, I guess I should talk about that? The mind dungeon is many things. As a game mechanic, it's the place you go to when you want to level up your stats, which is a fucking process. To be fair though, you can just let Marlene the Crow choose for you, and it's a much quicker process, so it's not like they don't have an option for it to go quicker. But the Mind Dungeon is also RPG dungeons themed around a certain character, such as Vela's being a club where versions of herself play various instruments, or Essentia's being a weird hub area congealing all of her parallel lives into a single mechanical space. The rest of the characters all have at least one story beat around their own struggles. Rory dealing with his sister's suicide, Chandra and Claudio and the effects of losing their brother, Michael and, Michael goes into his own mind dungeon, gets trapped, and becomes a metaphysical god of sorts. Other than that, the game seems to forget his existence, as Michael only really comes out to rein Alex back from making too much of an ass out of himself.
Cool with soul survivors and astral projection or whatever the hell you've been on about doesn't mean everyone else is! Alex! Shut up! Stop it! This isn't all about you, you know!
So yeah, long and the short of it is that I really like this game. Flaws and all. Nothing's perfect after all, and truthfully I wouldn't want this game to be. I think it's better that it's not perfect.
Alex, dear son of mine, please see if you can muster up the energy to walk into town and pick up some groceries. I've included a list below.
Not even home 5 minutes and she's already barking orders at me.
And yeah, I even love the exposition. The Essentia 2000.
I came to exist 6 years ago, in the winter of 1993. In 1993, I only knew myself to be Naila El-Amin. I was a physicist who became fascinated by the metaphysical...
Oh my god, will you shut the fuck up? Axe Studios have been promoting a big Y2K 1.5 update that's going to overhaul the combat system, as well as add some more content, such as expanding certain moments to enhance the story, and even include a new playable character that you'll recruit throughout the game. Suffice to say, I'm pretty interested in seeing its release. Lisa the Painful is an accurate title. It loves inflicting as much emotional damage as possible, especially now with that definitive edition upgrade that they released a few months back. Dingling added these campfire conversations between a bunch of the party members that really flesh them out and give them more of a personality than they already had in the original. And truthfully, it just makes me feel so much worse when I have to do the roulette minigame. And that already made me feel really bad. I don't like playing that, but it's fun. Sometimes the characters are so charming and likable that when I accidentally make the wrong choice, I feel like I've actually genuinely committed some sort of like cosmic crime. You know?
Save Terry, always the hint lord, never dive. Fuck yes. Based, you guys. Based, you guys. I knew I liked you, Brad. No! No, I fucked up! Shit. Oh my god, I'm so fucking sorry. No! I fucked up! Oh, but I can't fucking reset. Oh, because I fucking saved so long ago. Fuck, dude, Save Scummit, this timeline is doomed. I saved so long ago. Oh no. Fuck. I want to keep going because that's like the point of the game. But I don't want to fucking abandon Terry. You know? Oh no. Oh no. This is gonna be fucking miserable.
Lisa is a very strange experience, though. It's a funny game with some really great moments of comedic timing and punchlines. It's also a really fun game. The combat is interactive enough that I find myself getting excited when I come across a battle. But it also has really upsetting moments that are explicitly designed that way. Moments of character depth that are remarkably surprising given that it's a one-man developer game. But that's only a surface-level analysis of Lisa. It's more than that. It's become so infamous that there's an entire subgenre of RPG Maker games just based off of the world, gameplay, and themes of Lisa, with notable ones being Lisa the Pointless, Lisa the Hopeful, Lisa the Timeless, and many, many more. Most of the writing in Lisa comes from just the character interactions, especially from the 30 party members you can recruit during the course of the game. Lisa's party system is like nothing I've ever seen in a game. Having 30 recruitable characters, each with their own amount of quirks, strengths, and weaknesses, every member can work in tandem with the others to create some seriously deadly builds. Like having Brad, Birdie, Ajit, and RT can create what I call the Arsonist build. Because of Birdie's gasoline spit, Brad, Ajit, and RT can use their burn-inflicting attacks for some incredible amounts of damage. The first few party members you can obtain are some of the fan favorites, or at least my favorites. Terry Hintz, Nern Guan, and Olan Hyun, each of them having their own strengths, especially Terry, who can become a real powerhouse if you manage to keep him in your party. His hottest dance skill is both a funky move, as well as one of the strongest attacks in the game. If paired with Birdie's gasoline spit, it can do upwards of 25,000 damage. It's insane how fleshed out this party system is. Like I've said before, this game is rough. It doesn't hold back punches. It has many moments where you, the player, get put between a rock and a hard place, having to make a difficult choice. And those choices directly affect gameplay, from losing an arm or two, ruining Brad's attack stat, to losing important party members that make the game easier. Those choices don't get an easy way out of it as well. The people in this world are out for themselves, out for blood, and are absolutely ruthless about getting what they want. As miserable as this game can make me sometimes, genuinely, if I want to have a bad day, I'll just start by playing a little bit of Lisa's Pain mode and getting my ass handed to me. But despite that, it is still one of my favorite games of all time. Not just RPGs, but one of my favorite entire games of all time. Its title of being the painful RPG is apt, but despite that, I feel like I really, really do love this game for how brutal it is. This one feels kind of out of left field for me, mostly because I've just got done singing praises about turn-based, emotionally driven story RPGs, but Monster Hunter World doesn't really have turn-based combat, or even an emotionally charged story, or much of a story at all. It's an action RPG about researching new monsters and beating the fuck out of them. And it fucking rocks! What really surprised me was just how many different and unique monsters there are in-game. Even in Iceborne, the full-fledged expansion that had beefier, enhanced versions of normal base game enemies felt new and unique. Every monster feels super satisfying to just bludgeon to death with my big fuck-off sword. From the absolute bitch of a Great Jagras all the way to... oh shit. I forgot about the Final Fantasy XIV crossover. Well, I know what I'm doing tonight. My own personal arch nemesis for most of the game was the Anjanath. It took me a fair bit before I was able to beat the fuck out of that thing myself. Mostly because I stunk at the game, but also a bit of fear was in there too. But then I got good at meeting my fucking bitch! The combat feels incredible to control. Everything has such meaty effects and sounds, I really can't get over how good it feels to successfully land a wombo combo with the greatsword. The 5% chance I have of doing it at a given time. But yeah, every monster is super fun to go up against, especially with friends. Strategizing and using everyone's unique weapons to their advantage is a real hoot. Especially if you and your squad knock down a big fucker and just start fucking wailing on him. Happened to me with a few friends in an Odogaron once. I gotta say, the dopamine spike was massive that night.
Fucking Gyros is in my way! There goes your tail, bitch!
What's also really fun is using the slinger and hook spots to fling around the arena and get an upper hand on the monster. Being able to latch directly to them is also super good. Truthfully, I really just love Monster Hunter World. It's got a great sense of direction through the gameplay and the art, but the thing I love most about it is the fucking rocket sword! Look at it! Look at me fucking puree shit with my 1,000-pound plate of metal and gasoline! Watch as I swing it like it's fucking putty! I have crushed the skulls of small creatures and I will crush yours too! The rocket sword is not just a fucking weapon, it's a fucking harbinger of death. It's been the direct cause for at least 15 extinction-level events, and that was just from one single swing. It makes the dinosaur's meteor death look like a fucking joke. I don't fucking care that it's impossible to have in the real world, but I desperately want to mount it to my fucking wall. This is the greatest fucking sword in the history of ever! Real talk for a minute. This game cemented the fact that I fucking love comically oversized greatswords. Final Fantasy VII introduced me to the concept properly with the Buster Sword, and Advent Children, as weird as a movie as that is, it did introduce me to my favorite Buster Sword in the entire franchise with the Fusion Sword. I just think that one's really cool. Monster Hunter reinforced my love with them with the Rocket Sword and the Jaw Blade. I have grown to like them so much that I've even got like my own prop sword that I just have. This thing makes me fucking feel cool. It's me. It's him. It's me. It's BreadTheLoafington. Check out my fucking sword. I also have those, but this is cooler. This is fucking badass. It's got a really good weight to it, surprisingly. Stab, stab, stab. Final Fantasy VII is a remarkably important entry in not only the Final Fantasy genre, but RPGs in general. It was one of the very first Final Fantasy games to be properly released here in the West, without any weird naming scheme. The other 6 have a wildly confusing release structure here in the West. Final Fantasy I is, thankfully, still Final Fantasy I in America, but Final Fantasy II, III, and V weren't released until after 7. Final Fantasy IV got released in America as Final Fantasy II, and Final Fantasy VI was released as Final Fantasy III. At this point though, all of them are available well and proper across various platforms, or if you want to shill $100 you can get the Pixel remasters, but that has its own problems. So, now that that problem is fucking dealt with, Final Fantasy VII. 7 is often praised for its very colorful cast of characters, as well as its expansive world and incredible writing, and I'd have to 100% agree. 7's characters are widely loved and fondly regarded by many, as over the course of the game each character gets their own moments of highs and lows, expressly reserved for them, such as any event revolving around Nibelheim, the hometown of the two protagonists, Cloud Strife and Tifa Lockhart. The game's focus on the character relationships help enhance moments where those relationships become tense, strained, or strengthened. Each character also comes with emotional baggage to boot. Cloud struggles with the death of his best friend and comrade, Zack Fair. Barrett struggles with not protecting his hometown when they needed it most. And Aerith struggles with being the last of her kin. That's not all of them, that's just a select handful, but every character has some kind of emotional baggage. These all provide each character with their own beliefs and purpose in life, resulting in some of the greatest character dynamics in the Final Fantasy series. Something that often goes untalked about when talking about 7 is just how fleshed out and deep the materia system is. Materia are these magic orbs that can be inserted into the character's weapons or armor to provide new skills, abilities, and magic for use in battle. And through certain weapons and armor, materia can be mixed and matched, resulting in some really interesting effects happening if you combine them in the right way. I had a build going for Tifa at some point where fire-based attacks did nothing to her and ice-based attacks actually healed her. It's super interesting to try and see how far you can go with it. My personal favorite materia are the support materia, as you can use them to create some really powerful weapon builds. Some materia can add the elemental effect of a materia to your weapon, allowing for extra damage. Other materia can make it so that in one attack you can hit all enemies. It's super fleshed out and I really like it for that reason. The materia system for a first time playthrough can be really confusing and complicated, but surprisingly there is one more thing more complicated than the materia system. The original Final Fantasy VII release in 1993 is very well known for its very bizarre translation. This guy are sick. This guy is sick. Ungermax. Angermax. Attack while its tail's up. It turns out that one's still in the game, they just never bothered to fix it. But despite that, the story Final Fantasy VII tells of found family, environmentalism, as well as the struggles of life itself, left a very lasting impact on those who played the game. Because people enjoyed the world and the characters so much, Final Fantasy VII had many spin-off titles, from the story of Zack Fair in Crisis Core to Vincent Valentine in Dirge of Cerberus, even to the world of the Turks in the mobile game Before Crisis, as well as a sequel movie, Final Fantasy VII Advent Children, which was the original media that, quote-unquote, pulled a Palpatine.
Good to see you.
Bringing back Sephiroth because he was so well loved as a villain in the original. Final Fantasy VII was so popular and successful that Square Enix has thought about remaking the game many times. Sometime during the PS3 era, they made a graphical test tech demo of sorts, showcasing like the intro cutscene from the first game, which, call me crazy, but this looks almost one-to-one, aside from Cloud's segment, exactly like what Remake looks like, and I'm almost 90% convinced that that was what the basis for Remake was. 7 Remake is a relatively faithful retelling of the original story, while also teasing the idea of defying destiny. And I found myself enjoying the new combat system, as well as all of the little side quests that you can do during the game. Remake forgoes the turn-based combat in favor of a more modernized real-time action RPG style of combat, allowing the players to move around at will and including a block and dodge mechanic. Though, Remake also allows the player to swap between 2 other party members at any time, allowing for more fluid and complex strategizing. The materia system is back and remains pretty much untouched from the original. Limit breaks also return, but Remake shifted them around so that some of the characters' limits are now just special abilities, such as Cloud's Braver limit. It's a strange change, but it's one that I'm in favor of, as it makes the combat more interesting and makes the limits feel more powerful as a result. Summons are only really used during the more intense fights, which are usually boss fights, such as Hell House or Shiva in the combat simulator. The slums of Sector 7, compared to the original, feel much more alive due to the fact that there are notably more than 10 citizens in the entire sector. Along with that, there are many shops and vendors and other characters that have their own dialogue that makes it feel like they all have their own lives. Right in my computer. Alongside that are the various side quests some of the characters have you do as a merc for hire, which can be anything from replacing water filters with Tifa to finding a bunch of cats for a little girl, to taking care of some pests that have invaded an abandoned warehouse in a restricted section of the sector. Either way, Remake has a section of gameplay where you to invest you in the lives of the new denizens of Sector 7, along with giving Jessie, a well-liked Avalanche member from the original game, an entire chapter for herself that further develops her character, along with the characters of Biggs and Wedge, who have grown a lot on me since playing. All of this was done to make the scene of the plate dropping on the slums hurt that much more. What? Kate Sith? What are you doing here? What the fuck is going on? Rebirth has some fucking questions to answer, please and thank you. Man, Paper Mario. What could I possibly say about Paper Mario that hasn't been said 100 times over by literally every Nintendo YouTuber ever made? Guess I could say it sucks dick and is the worst game ever made, but that'd kinda be a lie. Either way, this is a childhood classic for me. I've been playing the game since 2005, which, saying that out loud is kind of brittling my bones a bit. Anyways, the main appeal that people usually express about Thousand Year Door is the appealing characters, expansive world, and incredibly fun combat. And truthfully, I feel like it's the best place to start with the world, and all of its fun little quirks. Truthfully, the actual area design in Thousand Year Door is very basic. It's entirely structured around hallways of sorts, typically moving from left to right or right to left, not a whole lot of southern or northern outside of Rogueport's main plaza. But it's not the structure of the building you admire, it's the aesthetics. And like good Victorian-era buildings with needless amounts of flying buttresses, Thousand Year Door is full of aesthetic. Each area has an incredible understanding of its theme, from the upbeat, cheery town of Petalburg having a lot of bright natural colors that get darker the closer to Schwank Fortress you go, all the way to something like Poshley Heights being an upper-class, gated community kind of affair, having the broad color spectrum but in a more pasteled form. Everything feels really uppity and pretentious, and I love it. Even Twilight Town, a miserable town full of miserable people, is caked in eternal twilight, having a lot of striking black shadows mixed with hauntingly warm colors that get colder the closer to the creepy steeple you go. Same with Far Outpost. Being a remote snow town, it's full of blue and pastel pink, alongside incredible, ungodly, blinding amounts of white. An area like Glitzville gives off a strong Vegas-influenced theme with neon lights, shops, item carts, promotional wear, and more, signifying it as a place of entertainment. Each area is so full of personality that it makes the world seem like a character in of itself, alongside the actual characters. A lot of the characters you wind up chatting with frequently sure have a habit of leaving a lasting memory, like Professor Franklin and his eternal quest to learn the most out of everything, especially relating to the Thousand Year Door, or Koops and his desire to become more confident and brave, or Admiral Bobbery's sympathetic struggle of never going back to sea as he blames himself for not being able to cure his wife of her illness while he was out at sea, or Vivian's struggle to be respected by her sisters because of her gender identity, or General White, in general. I fucking hate General White. It's a big meme within the Paper Mario community of Mahatsong characters, because of recent Paper Mario games' refusal to give any special designs to important characters. But it's kinda true. I can very clearly remember distinct characters from Thousand Year Door, mostly because it's seared into my brain, but I can also pretty distinctly remember characters from Paper Mario 64, which I played much later in life and have no emotional attachment to. It's often hand-waved as Paper Mario fans wanting to just have Thousand Year Door 2, but I think it's a fair, genuine criticism of the recent games. However, the design isn't the only important thing about creating a memorable character. Giving them a compelling personality does as well. There are many generic NPC characters littering the game. Each town has its own unique residents. Rogueport has some Goombas, mice, bandits, and roughs, while Twilight Town is entirely populated by a sort of weird humanoid species that has yet to be seen in any other Mario media. Even Rogueport has a Twilightizen in the form of the kindred bar owner, Podley. Even a place like Petalburg, which has its own unique character, is predominantly populated by basic Toads and Koopas. And these characters stand out in Petalburg because it's the only place predominantly populated by characters that look like that. Uplifting a generic Toad to something a bit more special because you only see them in one area, instead of seeing them scattered everywhere like in, say, Origami King. Sorry for the tangent, it will happen again, probably. Paper Mario's recent entries have been controversial, to say the least, foregoing traditional turn-based RPG combat in favor of experimenting with a lot weirder gameplay styles, such as stickers and action cards and rotating sliding battlefields. But man, there's just something simple and clean about the party v party stage play combat, without all the blatant gimmicks. Thousand Year Door's combat is a combination of Mario RPG's action command-based attacks with a weird WarioWare-style minigame system for each attack. Some attacks you can do are no more basic than press A at the right time, all the way to complicated press the right button combination to inflict as much damage as possible. It also has a fair bit of depth to its badge system. To relate it back to Final Fantasy VII, the badge system is like materia, where each badge does its own unique thing to either help, hinder, or change effects of the combat. Most badges will give Mario or his partner a new attack, such as Charge, allowing you to increase your attack for next turn, or Double Dip, which allows you to use 2 items in one turn. Other badges like W Emblem and L Emblem change Mario's clothes to that of Wario and Luigi, respectively. And if you wear both, you get to wear Waluigi's clothes. It's such a nice little detail that you really wouldn't expect in a game like this. A fun challenge build some people like to do is something called Danger Mario, where you keep Mario's HP at 5 points as much as possible while stacking as many defense and attack buff badges as possible. Another aspect of the combat is that you can super block in this game, something new introduced in Thousand Year Door. If you press B right before an enemy attacks you, you can parry it and damage them instead. And if you're good enough at the game, I believe you can parry practically every attack in the game, though I'm not sure which attacks are unsuper blockable. Perhaps certain boss attacks? Suffice to say, this game has a lot about it that I like. And, well, there's this, I guess. There's like a super well-known glitch that's super easy to pull off. I'm just gonna do it really quick. Just that easy to pull off. See? Check it out. Unfortunately, that's all there is to it, and now I'm stuck here. Like, check it out, you can like clip through the train and shit, because I didn't intend for you to get here. Because I didn't put the fucking invisible wall. I guarantee you they'll fix it in the remake, but yeah, they didn't put the invisible wall high enough. So, unfortunately.
Now I have to restart my GameCube. Really hope I save.
I'm sure the remake will expand everything and let us explore the Mushroom Kingdom from Paper Mario 64 and other stuff, like expanding, giving us more badges and more troubles and more locations and more characters, and maybe let us play Luigi's Marvelous Compass and let us go to Super Paper Mario World and Origami King World and Starshine World and do a whole bunch of other things too that will make me piss and shit and come and scream and laugh and cry, and I will be so. Some honorable mentions are Valheim, Dark Souls, Darkest Dungeons, and Kingdom Hearts. These are all really fun games when you get into them, however, they're all unique in their own ways. Valheim is a survival RPG, while Dark Souls is a death simulator disguised as a fun time. Darkest Dungeons is a dungeon crawler RPG with one of the coolest art directions I've ever seen, and Kingdom Hearts is, well, it's Kingdom Hearts.
Say, fellas, did somebody mention the door to darkness?
Oh my Jesus.
Despite that, though, I do really genuinely adore every one of these games. And, truthfully, I'm pretty excited about Mario RPG coming out soon. Hey guys, late night future editor Bread here. I just finished editing everything together after many long days of work. But it's all done now, and it's the final product that you've just watched. So, you know, if you liked the video and want to see more likes, subscribes, comments, all that good shit to get my dopamine flowing, it's all much appreciated. It's not obligated though, you don't gotta. If you're a regular viewer of the channel, you may have noticed that I've injected a few more Blender animations into this video than usual. It's pretty easy to understand why. I just kinda wanted to check out Blender's animation stuff, and I wanted to see how well I could use it. And for my first time creating some more advanced Blender animations, they're not actually too bad. But clearly I feel I still have a lot to learn about the 12 principles of animation, as well as Blender itself, so in due time, I guess. Mario RPG also released during the production of this video, and my family is holding my copy hostage until I finish it. Kinda had to be done though, otherwise I would have never finished this video and I just would have played Mario RPG all the time. So, thank you family, for blackmailing me into finishing my projects. Anyways, I'm very tired. I've not properly slept in a few days now. So I'm gonna go sleep for a while. And then when I wake up, I'm probably gonna play Mario RPG for an entire day. Well, that's all. Bye.